Okay, welcome to the Portsmouth Coffee Talks Evening Edition show. I'm James Slim Overton, and I'm here with co-host Thomas the Colonel Chapman, and of course, Leah will be on a little later. She mentioned she will be a little late, and we have a special guest here. But before we get to them, I just want to say to the Colonel, the verdict came in on the Trump trial, and all 34 counts. And I just wanted to know, did you think that was possible? That well, we knew it was possible, but did you think that was going to actually happen? Especially with all 34 counts. Now, even if they hadn't have done all 34, he would have been responsible for some, but in his eyes, that would have been some sort of victory. He would have used that. But they got him on all 34 counts, and it wasn't a long deliberation,
No,
in a trial as such. And when they came back that quick, I said, okay, something's going to happen here.
well,
But
I would tell you, D.A. Bragg ran, and his prosecuting team ran an excellent prosecutorial campaign. They did everything by the book and was to the letter. They outsmarted these yahoos that Trump had as lawyers, and they had all the books, and they tried to go after Cohen and all that, but they had the receipts. They had emails. They had the copies of the checks. I mean, they had him dead to rights. There's no way he could have got out other than having a Trumper within the mix that was going to try to tear everything up to try to get a hung jury. So with that, but the evidence was so clear and so out there is that not even a Trumper could say that the guy was not guilty. Now, here's the real piece. Will the judge say on appeal, because Trump's and his team is going to appeal it, lock him up, put him in jail while you wait for the appeal? Because they have to do that, because if he's allowed to be out here in society, he is a threat to the jury, to the witnesses, and societies. So you have to treat him as a mob boss. Case closed. You have to treat him as a mob boss, which he is. Lock him up. Send him down to Rikers Island. He can have a whole wing to himself with the Secret Service in a couple rooms down, and let him wear his orange jumpsuit down there to match his skin color. And treat him like any other citizens of the United States, because that's what he is. Lock him up and give him a long sentence.
Okay, I figured you might have an opinion on that or have some comments on that, because you are.
Say it now for the American public. He needs to get a long jail sentence so that he will die in jail.
Well, we'll see. We didn't expect this to happen, so who knows? Anyway, thanks, Colonel, for your commentary on that. And we have a special guest with us, and he's Dr. Ricado Randall. I grew up. He grew up. I grew up. Well, he grew up under me, but I called him Ricky. And but so if I go back to Ricky every once in a while, please
excuse me. I'm not a title person, and to me, it's more about service than title.
Yeah, so I just wanted to start off with the doctor, because that's an earned title, and it should be recognized. Anyway, we have Dr. Ricado Randall here, Ricky, and he's our guest, and he, like I said, he's the assistant professor at Hampton University, which is also one of his alma maters, and he is program director there at Hampton University, and we'll get into some of the programs that he's in charge of as we go along. But I wanted to bring him on here because he has an interesting story, as far as an educator. He was raised by educators, and a lot of the people watching might know of his parents, Vernon Rocky Randall, here in the city of Portsmouth, and former Councilwoman Marlene Randall, who was also an educator and principal at Lakeview Elementary for years, and everybody that came through her school or classroom were her babies. You can always, no matter how grown you got, you were her babies.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, and Rocky Randall, of course, was principal at Waters and I.C. Northam. And Ricky, I'll let you tell the story because, growing up in the household of educators, it had to be some sort of influence on you as far as what direction you might go. Didn't have to go that way. And maybe you weren't thinking going that way at first, but, talk about how that was and how that influenced you later as you went into the field of education as well.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for allowing me to be on the show this evening. This is a very humbling experience. And so growing up in my household of two principals was so unique because you had an elementary school principal, then you had a secondary school principal. So they had two different leadership styles, but they gelled, and it was so fascinating because my mother was the type of person. She would come in the room, she would light the room up, and she had to talk to you. She was like, no, she never knew a stranger. But my dad,
Everywhere
he
she
would
went,
come in.
everywhere she went.
Uh-huh. He would come in, and his demeanor got your attention. And then when he spoke, you had to listen. So
Hmm.
having two different styles was so unique. And I feel I have a mixture of both because I watched that growing up, and definitely had an influence on how I am. It depends. I can go between both environments to do two different styles. But in terms of the influence, my parents didn't push anything on us. Whatever we wanted to do, as long as we set high expectations and did our best, they were going to support us. And my sisters, we fell into the family business. I had originally planned to become an optometrist. And in my last semester at Hampton, I was taking one class, and I was commuting back and forth. So I was substitute teaching, and I just fell in love with working with the students. And I said, you know what? I'm going to finish my degree in biology, and I'm going to get certified to become a science teacher. And I went to Old Dominion for a year, got my certification secondary science, and took off from there. Yeah.
Wow, and what's so amazing about that, and to talk about the different school systems you worked in, and then going full circle and coming back and actually being a principal or administrator at W. Waters,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a story within itself too. But you started out in Virginia Beach as far as your education. I mean,
Right.
as being an educator.
Virginia Beach, and they left there. I went to Gates County. Left from there, went to Norfolk. Left from Norfolk City School, public schools, to Hampton City Schools. Then in 2017, an opportunity came about, whereas principals needed Waters Middle School, and I applied, got interviewed, and was blessed with the position. So what made it so special was, being a former student back then at Waters Junior High School, and my father
Yeah.
was principal. So just to know that I was walking the same hallways, be in the same office, it was just a very humbling experience. But the tip of the iceberg was when I was able to bring my parents up to the school and take a picture under my father's picture in the hallway. So every day I was there at Waters, it was definitely a blessing. And it was more than a job. It was just, I don't know. It can't put in words. It was more than a job. It was to me. It was a calling to be there, and I felt the importance of doing my best, also leading my best, and knowing that another generation is coming through the building, and somehow Randall's name is going to influence that generation. So, being able to connect with students and parents, teachers, and it's just being a principal. You wear a lot of hats, and it's a great job. Um, but to me, the greatest thing about leadership is having confidence in yourself. That's, to me,
Yeah.
that's really half of leadership within itself, because there are many leaders, but they may not lead with confidence, and that confidence is very important because as a leader, you're supposed to be able to influence those who are working with you and subordinates and so forth. And so, what I learned from my parents in terms of leadership was always treat people right, do your best, and be humble in the process. People who know me know I don't have an ego problem. If I make a mistake with something, I don't mind admitting to it. I don't mind talking through something. I'm huge on collaborating with people, and I'm also huge on being a keen listener, because lots of times people can solve their own problems, but they need somebody to listen to them as they're trying to get it out, vent basically. So a lot of skills I've learned watching my parents and actually being an educator myself. I just use in everyday life. Just like I'm a deacon in my church, Mount Zion Baptist Church over in Berkeley, and I use those same skills. And I have had how can I put it? I've had a very, very interesting journey, but a very blessed journey, because I know as I'm going throughout my daily activities, interacting with people, I'm doing planting seeds, because that's huge. And especially for our young men, it's greatly important that we make sure that we talk to them. And when I say talk to them, we don't need to give them lectures. A lot of them really want us to listen to them. Because I know we have our standards, we have our expectation, our values, beliefs, but sometimes you have to meet them where they are so you can help them and they can understand you better and also relate better to what you're trying to get across to them. So that's why I tell people all the time, you never give up on anybody, because you never know who's going to be the next president, the next delegate, the next teacher. You never know. Some interaction, that particular moment in time that you have with them could spark something in them to have them think about going a different path or doing something different. Or sometimes even nonverbal is important. I know when I was an educator, well, I'm still an educator, but I would always make sure I wear a shirt and tie and had a suit coat on. I wasn't into casual Fridays and stuff like that, because I knew young men were looking at me. I knew young ladies looking at me. Just so many things that the nonverbals that our young people pick up that we don't realize they pick up, but they do watch us, and that's very important. So being a role model to me it's an instant thing. It's an automatic thing if you're African American trying to do the right thing in this world.
Yes, it's something you can't deny. And but before the Colonel asks a question, I want to mention that you are Alpha, and
yes,
the Colonel's brother, Michael Allen Chapman, is watching, and he's one of your Alpha brothers.
Okay.
And I just want to say hello to Mike and your brothers up here. And all right,
I pledged at Hampton University, Gamma Alpha chapter, and Spring '85, February 23rd, 7:33 p.m. is when I crossed the brink of Fraternity Incorporated.
And 34 seconds. So you got it down to a second. And Michael pledged at Virginia Tech. So
okay.
I'm sure y'all will run across each other at some point.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead, Colonel.
Yes. Thanks, Randall, for coming on. And it's great to see you on here, especially to see a fellow Hamptonian there. And I'm tempted to ask you, have you since you're over at Hampton, have you seen the big changes that General Williams has brought in since Harvey went to the wayside?
Yes, huge changes. I mean, the infrastructure in terms of, I believe, the steam plant, the energy process, energy that's used for the university. That was a 3-year project. Just completed that. And some infrastructure, dormitories, Wi-Fi. So many things have been upgraded over there. Now, my office is actually across the bridge from the university, because I'm with Hampton University Online, and I'm on the 12th floor of the Hampton University building. But I do go to campus periodically for different things. And he's done an outstanding job in the last, I guess, just 2 years, I think now.
Yeah.
So those changes were definitely needed. And people are noticing how the changes have put the university in a better position. I mean, it's already a great university, but just knowing that so many things are being worked on for the greater good of the university is even propelling to higher heights.
Yeah, from what I hear and from my friends that work over in the university and are more connected in the university, he has been a breath of fresh air since he's come over, and especially, you know, because you knew he was going to be shaking up the tree when he got rid of some of the deadwood and no work contracts that Harvey had put in there for his family. And I'll go there with that. So I'm not going to put you on it.
You said I didn't.
Yeah.
I got job security now.
Yeah. And so I speak the truth. And so, so I know I never worked for General Williams while we were both on active duty, but I knew of him through his reputation and others that have talked to me about him. And then so I knew he was going to shake it up. And so he had the gumption to end some of the nepotism that Harvey had put in there. And I've always had a 20-year, 25-year bone to pick with Harvey, because he sort of gutted my program, the nursing program, what was one of the better programs in the country, and tried to choke that, you know, always promised that we're going to get a new building. We're going to promise to have more faculty members, expand the program and everything else. But Harvey would never do it. He would never do it. He never saw the facility, never saw the value of that healthcare piece, and then the other piece to it. What he really killed me with him, Harvey, is he let the pharmacy program die. And here he is. You don't have but a handful of pharmacies programs in HBCU schools. You get one, and it is flourishing, and then you turn around and don't want to pay the faculty that started it, so they had to leave, and now that's why you put it on probation, and sort of killed itself. But I turned my back to that, and you look at programs like Xavier University in New Orleans. HBCU school is working on getting a medical school. So I say that when we look at other places to get progress, I go back to Harvey and look like he turned it, you know, the progress had been stymied for a lot of time, because you know, and he took a lot of money, you know, allegedly he fattened his pockets on the way out and throughout all these years. And so he's taken his time, but I'm glad Williams is there. So I might have to put Hampton back on my annual giving thing now that I always done. But I had boycotted Hampton, my alma mater, for decades because of what the stuff that Harvey was doing. So I rest my case with that. So yes, but I'm not going to put you on the thing, because normally I would say, what say you? But you're still working in the field there, so I'm gonna let you slide on this one. Go ahead.
Okay.
But I had to get my commentary off my chest.
Okay. Well, let me tell my Hampton story. So I actually went to pre-college because I wanted to go just to get ahead. And back in '83, so I went to pre-college, and then I turned around a few weeks later and go to band camp. So being in band camp was pretty cool, because a lot of the people from my high school came with me from Manor High School, and that was band with me. We all went together, and a lot of people from the area we used to battle against. We all now all together, and it was unique because we used to all battle each other, but then we come there and we gelled, and then we're running stuff. So it was a pretty cool experience being in marching force. So I played trombone, and I was in the band for 4 years. I was section leader the last 2, sergeant arms in the band 1 year. I was in the first RCIAA band. That was a cool experience because I was able to connect with other people from other universities, and just really enjoyed traveling with the band, because one thing, and it's true to this day, there is a certain feel at an HBCU, and that feel is a family feel. You can go to any HBCU and you feel like you're home because you're with your people. And that's the feeling I had. We would travel different HBCUs. And even to this day, like I said, I still believe that's there. And that's why one of the reasons why HBCUs are more important than ever before, because of the family connection. Because you think about it, the family connection just goes on back through time to the motherland. So it's very important that we support our HBCUs, and I'm glad to see that the enrollments are growing, because that means if enrollments are growing, the universities are thriving,
right?
And that, to me, that gives hope for the future generations.
Well, now that you mentioned hope, what I hope to happen is that the HBCU schools across this country get together collectively, starting from the presidents on down, talk to the faculty and all the instructors and all that, get with all the fraternity heads and student body leaders and everything, and get with the kids, the students, that they get out and push out there and says, okay, you're coming here in the fall of 25, and with your enrollment thing, show me your voter registration, and we are going down to the polls and vote collectively, because the future of HBCU schools are on the line. You look at the monies that the Biden and Harris team has put out there. HBCUs have gotten more money in these last 3 years than they've ever gotten under any other president, to include Obama. To include Obama in 8 years. And so all of that money is going to stop because Mr. Trump, this convicted felon, insurrectionist traitor, is coming after HBCU schools and all Black people if he's allowed to come back in office. And he's already said it. He is going to round us up, and he is going to come after anybody of color. And so, saying that, we have to, as a people, and we have these concentrated in folks that are out here in these HBCU schools, need to understand that as a block, they need to go out and do it, because they're doing it at our WPCs, white, predominantly white schools. They do it all the time, and they've been doing it, and that's how they get their funding. But we have not done this, the political side, and talked about the importance of it like we should. And I think we failed on that instance. What say you for that? Yeah.
Okay.
What's the last you said?
I said, what say you regarding what I just said?
In terms of HBCUs working better together, that's true. Because what's the term? I've got a name of the term. But when we know we have a lot of similarities, a lot of commonalities, a lot of things that collectively we could work on together better. So I believe that what we're seeing is more. I feel there's more work going on together. Now, how much I'm not sure, but with the spotlight being more on the HBCUs now, and just some of the conversations I have with people from different universities, it sounds like there's an undercurrent of more collaboration that's starting to happen.
Well, that's a nice dodge, but I'm gonna go back on you. So, so I don't know if Slim warned you. I call it like I see it. Yeah, and so yes, I really believe that we really have to work harder and collectively to do that, because we saw when Mr. Trump was elected, and we saw the photo op that he brought in all those university presidents who pimped themselves in his eyes and bowed their heads, bowed their knees, and never got anything from him. I think that HBCU schools can collectively get together, and if they got their students to vote, and then they in turn got their parents to get out there and use the only power they have is the power to vote, before we don't have that right to vote. Because in 2020, after November 6th or the 7th, we may not have a chance to vote again. because Trump is not coming out of office again because he'll be America's new dictator or new king. And then so we have to import, and that is not hyperbole, but that is how things are going to be. And so we are the last line of defense for America. I said it. Black women has been saved us before in 2020, and in 2024 they are out there, but they've been beaten. They've been listening to the propaganda machines of Fox and the rest of this stuff, the rest of the Russian-backed TV. We need help because our black males out there are apathetic, and it's shameful. And they're going to get theirs by not showing up and doing the right thing. So go ahead on. I'll let you go because I'm on a rant because I'm an anti-Trumper and I'm a pro-America but anti-Trump and anti-Republican. But go ahead.
Yeah. Let me pivot just a little bit back to you, Ricky, as far as you being a program director at the extension of Hampton University. And I want to get into that program that you're a director of. Talk a little bit about that program because it's probably something that's preparing, our younger folks. You still hear me? Did we freeze?
I'm back now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right. I just wanted to pivot just a little bit, to talk about you being a program director at the extension at Hampton University, where you also on the campus periodically as an assistant professor. So talk about that program that you are directing at the extension at Hampton University and how it's affecting some of our young students. And
So
to be
I work
able
with
to
Hampton
address some of the things that Colonel is talking about. Yeah.
Okay. So I work with Hampton University Online, and I am the program coordinator for the PhD in educational management. So our program is 100% online, and it's designed to allow educators who want to go more deeply into leadership in terms of central office positions, superintendency, higher education side, higher education leadership. So this program is a unique program within the HBC community because it allows educators to just gain more leadership and more knowledge of how to navigate the process of being, I consider being an effective leader within both of those areas.
Yeah, and that's going to be very important as to what a lot of what the Colonel was saying about the HBCUs and the survival of the HBCUs of having the proper leadership, qualities, because we see some of our HBCUs, being called to the table, and mostly sometimes because of leadership, lacking of leadership, not in all of them. So, to have a program such as you're talking about, it prepares, those competent leaders of the HBCUs. So we won't see the problem. We already have all the outside interference like Colonel is talking about. So we need to be prepared for that. So, so we need to be prepared those future leaders for that. And now, how did you get into that? Was that something because I know you work with Chrome as well, and you can talk about that later. That's something that you work with Chrome, and it's an acronym, and you can explain about that. So how did you get into that? How did you work your way into that program?
I finished my doctorate in 2022 from Old Dominion, and I was looking around different positions because I had retired from public education in 2021. So I said, I got to make this doctorate work for something. So I saw the position, and always, anytime I apply for anything, I pray on it first. Prayed on it, applied, was interviewed, and was hired. And I started August 21st of 2023. And so, I've been in that position since then.
Mm-hmm. So even going for that doctorate was something you go way back to the influence of your parents. It's something that was actually said,
Yes,
by your father.
6.5 years took me to finish my doctorate. And I tell students when I taught them a great deal of this story. When my on Palm Sunday 2020, my father and I had a conversation, and we were on the phone, and we just talked about usual stuff like food and different things. And one of the last things he said to me was, "Rick, make sure you finish working your PhD." 90 minutes later, my sister calls me and hysterical, and when she called me, I knew it was up. So my father gave me a charge before he passed away that I need to make sure I finish my PhD. Mm-hmm. And so there was no way I could not finish. And then my mother passing away exactly a year later, I was like, okay, because they were my rock and my shield, and of course I miss them every day because I knew they were the only two people in this world I knew I could confide in anything. I could talk about anything, had my back, no questions asked, 100% support. So when you lose that, it's a part of you goes away too. So, but so many lessons I learned from them, it's helped me to stay afloat, and prayer and knowing that I have a daughter who's looking up to me and different things. I know other people looking up to me, and I just keep pushing because I know that we all here for a purpose, and I truly believe in the talented 10th, and I think people like us are in that, and it's important that we keep pushing the narrative to do our best. And like I said earlier, we're instant role models. Point blank.
Yeah. And I have to ask this, and this is another sort of pivot, but I have to ask this. Your mother was a longtime educator. She very well could have retired an educator and have, really overextended her service to the community. Mm-hmm. But she decided to go into politics and run for city council at the encouragement of a lot of her friends. And I believe she was the second African-American female to serve on the Portsmouth City Council after Louise Lucas. So how did you feel about that when she told you, look, I'm going to run for office? And I don't think it came from nowhere, because outside of her being an educator, she was always involved in civic organizations, throughout the city for years. But to run for office, I think that was, it had to come from left field to you. So how did you feel about that? And did that encourage you to pay more attention to the political game?
Marlene Randall did what she wanted to do. So I was like, okay, Mom, we got you back.
I got you back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to stand there and argue about, no. She, because of her servant leadership, because sometimes people would say, how come the mom didn't run for school board? Well, knowing her, she wanted to have a broader influence. But she was, I think, if I remember correctly, she was a school board liaison from the city council. So
right.
Yeah,
which made sense.
When she ran, I wasn't surprised, because over the years, people would stop by and get advice from her, running for this or want her to run for something. So it wasn't a surprise, but I had to explain to her one day, Mom, you did 38 years education, then you've done 12 years in city council. That's 50 years. Let's let somebody else take a chance.
Yeah.
Because I don't want her, because she loved what she did. She loved the city, but she loved people, and I didn't want her just like to keep serving. Then one day, it's like you all served out, because that can happen. You can serve much. You can get, served out, as I call it. But I'm very proud of both of the accomplishments, because to this day, I still run into people who talk to me about them. My daughter works locally, and people, when they found out she's a granddaughter, they want to talk to her more. And this is funny, but she and I have got great conversations about her influence. I mean, my parents' influence on her. So, and she said it's interesting, because a lot of her friends, a lot of things that they should know, they do not know. But fortunately, she, had grandparents who taught her a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was glad to serve as her campaign manager for one of her victories. Mm-hmm. I think it might have been for her last term. Yeah, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But, she had the energy of, she pretty much had more energy than I had, going from place to place. And, it's a commitment to run for office like that, locally. And, Colonel, how did you know, you like to talk about the local politics too. So, you know,
Yeah, I do
you
have
know,
a question for him before you
yeah,
go
go
down.
ahead. Go ahead. I want
So
to bring you in there. Go ahead.
yeah, so the program that you're instructing on now, did it come about by a grant, and how is it funded? That's the first question.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have a candidate wants to start a PhD at Hampton in your program, what is the cost and the time commitment? Because you said 6.5 years, and I think that you were
Oh, that
going
was my
part-time.
personal one.
Yes,
That
I know.
was me.
Yeah. But the
Yeah.
time commitment that the average folks would get to get their cost and time commitment that you from start to finish. And then have there been any longitudinal studies of those folks that have graduated with their PhD program and the return on investment, meaning I got my piece of paper and this is what I got, and maybe we could do say salary or whatever matrix that you want to use as far as a data point for return on investment for getting a PhD.
Well,
So that's the questions for you.
I got you. So it's not funded by a grant program. So that's one thing. And so it's $6.95 a credit hour, and it's 60 credit hours, excuse me, and roughly 2 years of instruction with the classes, and then you're working your dissertation after that. Now, in terms of dissertation, writing and research, that could take as long as it may take. So roughly people have been finishing in 3 to 4 years, but all the, because life happens. Because when I did my PhD at Old Dominion, my parents passed away. We had to shut down. I retired. I mean, different things can affect you when you're on that doctoral journey. And let me see, other question. What was the last one? I'm sorry.
Longitudinal studies. As far as, the studies.
I have no idea, and no one's ever presented any data to me. But that is a good question. Yeah, that is an excellent question. But I do not know something. I don't make it up. I do not know the answer to that question.
Well, that might be something we take back to the rest of the faculty. And actually, that's what we should be doing with all programs. And saying, when I come into such and such program or to such and such university or college, and saying, when you graduate from here, you may, your outlook is going to be A, B, and C. This is your mean, mode, and median or average of salaries. And this is what you're going to be doing, at least for the start. And it's a great selling piece.
Right.
And then long term, I can point to A, B, and C. They came to the university and now look at them.
Right.
And so that's something you probably want to, you could take over there.
I'm almost finished my first year. So that's something, that's something to consider. Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
It doesn't it's not a lot of hard work to do that. Yeah. Go ahead. Slim, you got ready to say something?
No, you asked a good question there, and I just wanted Ricky now to because we'll probably have another show to really get deeply into the Chrome. I think the Chrome, it's a national program, if I'm not, but I want to know if you can briefly, it's the acronym, and tell what Chrome is and how it's affecting us locally here.
So Chrome is Incorporating Hampton Roads Organizations in relation to minorities engineering. So it's an organization that was founded in 1983. And it was, as we talk about STEM now, it was one of those pre-STEM organizations. And our task is to allow minority children to become interested in engineering. So we have different Chrome clubs in different schools around, different school divisions around the area. And we have, like, for example, drone camp in the summer. We have entrepreneur drone camp in the summer, just like different things that relate to engineering. And we have a board about 12 people from different backgrounds, but all of us are STEM connected. So, for example, my connection is I was a biology teacher, so I have that particular component there. But we have some individuals from different universities that are part of the board. They teach engineering, they work in the field of engineering. So it's a great organization in terms of exposing young people to engineering. And then the teachers in the schools who are the Chrome sponsors, we have annual training with them to, give them the tools and resources they need to make sure that the clubs are running efficiently. But it's been a wonderful thing because we also go to different events. Like I know, for example, was coming up, Newport News is going to have a STEM fair this weekend, and we attended last year, and we have an exhibit. And to see the students interact with the exhibit, and just watch them go through the process of figuring things out, and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
So, and it's a program that focuses on the high school level students, or does it continue on?
Elementary, middle,
Elementary.
and high.
Okay, it starts in the elementary.
Yes.
And so it prepares them for that secondary education once they get to the college level. Sort of prepares them for those specific sciences, so biology and technology and all that. So.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because we mentioned that the Colonel's brother is watching Michael, and he's very involved in the STEM with Virginia Tech and at one time Norfolk State.
Right.
In the engineering department.
Mm-hmm. And another thing I want to say, not everyone goes to college. There's nothing wrong with vocational schools and trade schools because there's still STEM in those too. So, nowadays there are so many opportunities for young people to participate in STEM-related professions through college or through a vocational school. That's why I think it's very vital that our trade schools and our vocational schools are part of the big picture.
Yeah, and if you were talking to, and this is just a plug for the HBCUs, if you were talking to a bunch of students and you were trying to convince them the advantages of going to a HBCU as opposed to, not really saying as opposed to a PWI, what exactly would you tell them, to sort of lean them in the direction of the HBCUs?
Well, number one, I would say to them, you with your people. You with people who look like you and talk like you, think like you do. So that's the first thing. Secondly, you're coming from a long history of people who have paved the way for you to be where you are, to where you want to go into HBCU. And thirdly, is your charge when you attend the HBCU to make sure you get all the resources, all the learning, all the training you can, education you can, so you can pass on to the next generation and be able to pass on that knowledge. I truly believe the knowledge that we have today is centuries in the making. So, because education, like Hampton's model is education for life. Education is for life. You never stop. You never stop. So just knowing that you with your people, that to me, that's the biggest draw. Now I know I think there are 99 HBCUs in the country, and I would bet, like I said before, the same field is in every one of those schools that still we go to HBCU. I know when I was in the band, that's how I felt when I used to go to a different HBCU. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Carl?
Yeah, you know what? And I've always been a big proponent of education for one, but also STEM education. And I believe that for us to survive in the future, to be at the forefront, we have to keep supplying, keep the pipeline for our young engineers or STEM graduates out there in society. So when our young folks graduate, especially in the grade schools and all that, and on up in high school and secondary education, that they see somebody, they see that Black engineer, they see that Black astronaut, or they see that person that looks like them achieving greatness and doing the right thing, rather than and using those folks as role models versus the basketball or football players. That's all and done because you have a better chance of being that lawyer or that engineer or that doctor or pharmacist or whatever is out there versus bouncing that ball or running it, or trying to catch a football. And trying to succeed at it, because if they look at the statistics, that is just it's a very tight window of achievement, and it's fleeting because, like they say in the NFL, not for long. You have a 5-year career if you make it. And those folks are usually you always see them, out on the street again because they haven't done right with their money, versus that engineer has a lifelong career, or that STEM degree has a lifelong career as far as going up on the economic ladder or the professional ladder to have a great life. And from there, so I'm always behind that in education.
And I think, and to your point, what excites me is about the history of those who have done great things with inventions, like Garrett Morgan, Benjamin Banneker. Because my poor daughter, when we travel places, I'm always spilling out information. Now, do you know about DC? Who designed DC, the floor plan of DC and stuff? Basically, Benjamin Banneker. I would, okay, we had a stoplight. Garrett Morgan created a stoplight. So it's just different things, and because our people have contributed so much to this country. I just pray that the younger generations do not forget what has been done, because it's very important to know that the past has a part in the present and future.
You made an important piece there, is that, yes, you said that our younger generation don't forget, but we live in a society now that society, at least 50% of America, especially in the Confederate States, want to erase that history. And so we must teach that, because if we don't teach that the inventor of the stoplight looked like us, then we'll never know that, because they don't want to teach that. They don't want to, that piece of history is not going to be taught anywhere else except for where we have to teach it ourselves.
My favorite movie is Glory, and the story behind that movie is just powerful, because of it. And to me, to know that those men had to go through what they had to go through, not only fighting a war, but fighting for their freedom. It was just a powerful story. And I think I watch the movie like just once a year, and I listen to the soundtrack a lot too, because the soundtrack is a beautiful soundtrack. The Boys Choir of Harlem is in that soundtrack, and it just, when I look at that movie, I think about when I have issues and problems. I look at them, I'm like, you know what, my problems are very small to compare to what they had to deal with. So yeah.
You are so correct, and that's a great movie, and it's a shame that we're heading, and I hate to go back, is that there are some in this country that want to turn us back to those days, and we're heading back to the day rapidly.
And the HBCUs will be our savior.
Yes.
Anyway, Dr. Randall, Ricky, I'd like to thank you for coming on and sharing some of your personal life with us and your professional life. And we know this is going to be one of many opportunities you have to be on this show as a guest, because you have a lot to share. And we're going to make sure we take advantage of that. And we want to include Hampton. We have a lot of professors on here from Norfolk State, and we want to also include Hampton as a part of us sharing information that's going to be important to our people, our students, and anybody in general, because people that don't have the melanin we have, they need to know some things too. They need to know our history as well, in order for them to further appreciate us and what we contributed, like you said, to this country. So anyway, thanks again. We appreciate you. If you have any last words, do so now.
Thank you all again for this opportunity. And it's sometimes I think about, when I listen to what I say, I think, wow, I truly have been blessed with my parents and people.
Mhm.
I've had a blessed life, so that's why it's important for me to just share with young people what people are important to me, because it's important. Like I said before, they want to do the best they can, but we can't just use our own values, beliefs, and force things on them. You got to work with them. You have to work with them. Yeah,
You're so right, and a lot of those young kids coming up now didn't or don't have the opportunities that all three of us had
Mhm.
coming up in our households with parents that really kept us in line, that shared history with us, and guided us in a direction that would be more beneficial to us as we got older. So, so it's good, and I feel good about having the opportunity to share information through our guests and our hosts as well. So again, we appreciate you coming on, and we look forward to more visits from you. And we'll be in touch with you. And thanks a lot. We appreciate it. Anything
thank you.
else, Colonel?
Well, you know what, Randall, thanks for coming on. And I liked your closing as saying how we are blessed, and we are very, very blessed.
Resilient too.
Because of the parents that we've had and the family we've had and everything that have seen us through some of the trials and tribulations of the things that we are facing or have faced. But then the other piece is we have to pay it forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we also have to educate those who are that don't understand that, and have to educate the apathetic
Mm-hmm.
of what's happening in our present time, because all of our collective futures are on the line.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
I always go back to my core as far as everything is politics, and politics and voting is our only power that we have. And why do we as a people give that up by saying, oh, I'm not going to vote? I just have
And
to
make sure we go out there and vote.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. And remember to, if you're watching on Facebook, remember to like, subscribe, comment, and share this information. We'll see you next time.